Good evening, or good morning, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Yeah, this is my first little amateur ASMR cooking video. I thought that it would be nice to upload these videos in the evening so that it would kind of feel like we're just having dinner together and having a little chat before bed. In this cooking video, I'm going to be making a lazy version of butternut squash soup with some roasted Romanesco. And just because it's lazy doesn't mean it tastes any less delicious. It is a very, very good soup, but it's a lot easier to make because I do it in the air fryer. So the cleanup is easy, and yeah, I've been loving easy meals that I can just throw in the air fryer these days. Fall season is approaching, and I've just arrived at a place where the temperatures are much cooler. In the 60s at night, it's in the low 50s, sometimes high 40s. It's amazing. So with fall approaching and the cooler weather, I've just been craving a nice hearty bowl of creamy soup. And I had some frozen butternut squash in my freezer that I forgot about, so I figured I would make some butternut squash soup. I went to a farmer's market recently and I got this Romanesco. Romanesco is a cruciferous vegetable like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. I believe those are all in the cruciferous vegetable category as well. Yeah, and this is Romanesco. I think this is the second time in my life I've ever cooked with it. I saw it at the farmer's market and it was beautiful and vibrant green, and I wanted to use it. I'm really trying to cook more seasonally. I want the majority of my produce to be local and seasonal. That is not easy when you're a nomad. It's hard to create routine. I'm starting to get into a routine where I'm at now. But eventually I'm going to leave and I'll have to restart my routine over and over again while I'm traveling. But I definitely don't mind that. It's worth it for the lifestyle and the freedom that I have. But this Romanesco is delicious. It tastes to me like broccoli and cabbage had a baby. Or maybe broccoli and cauliflower had a baby. And I think maybe more broccoli and cabbage, if that's what Romanesco tastes like. Over the last couple of years, I've really been lightening up on the amount of seasonings I use on certain vegetables. Back in the day, I just loved to heavily season everything. I love Indian food. I love Cajun food because they are heavily seasoned and delicious. Not overly seasoned, but heavily seasoned. Just to perfection. Cajun food and Indian food, they get it right every time. So for a long time in my culinary career, I was obsessed with very flavorful foods. But recently, over the last couple of years, especially since I gotten into homesteading, I can't wait to homestead. I can't wait to grow my vegetables from scratch. The more I started learning about eating seasonally and locally, and growing my own food, it just made me start to appreciate the food itself. And I began to want to taste the actual food and not have it covered up in a bunch of seasonings. So over the last couple of years, I will lightly season a lot of my vegetables. I use the same basic salt, pepper, garlic, whether it's fresh garlic or granulated garlic. Salt, pepper, garlic, and a little olive oil. That's it. Because I just want to taste the vegetable. And that's all I'm doing to this Romanesco. Just salt, pepper, granulated garlic, and a little olive oil. And you guys, it's so good. It's delicious. It's delicious. You just taste, if you love broccoli and you love cauliflower, you're gonna love Romanesco. And if you're someone who wants to like vegetables, but you don't really know how to cook them, or maybe you do cook them, but you don't like the way they taste, if you steam them or boil them or saute them, maybe they come out, I don't know, maybe you don't like the way they taste. Try roasting your vegetables. Roasting any vegetable makes it delicious, in my opinion, because it gets caramelized, and caramelization just brings out the natural sugars in the food. So you get some natural sweetness, but you get that savoriness, and then just the light seasoning, the garlic and the salt. The salt brings out the flavor of the garlic and the flavor of the vegetables. And when you roast vegetables, The key is to make sure you get little brown spots on the edges around it. You know, the whole vegetable doesn't have to be browned. But, oh crap. Sorry guys, my laptop is, the fan on my laptop just turned on and I do not know if that was loud and if it's messing up your ASMR experience. Anyways, I think I was saying that the key to a good roasted vegetable is to make sure you have some browned bits on the outside. The entire vegetable doesn't have to be browned, but if you put vegetables in the oven and they just come out looking the same, like there's no caramelization, there's no crispiness on the edges, it's not going to taste as good in my opinion. On my air fryer, I don't really pay attention too much when I roast vegetables. On my air fryer, I believe I put it on 350, and I typically will start at about 10 minutes, start the timer at 10 minutes, and then I'll check on it from there, and if it's not to my liking, then I'll put it in for another 3 to 5 minutes, depending on, you know, how I feel, what I feel, how browned the vegetables already are. You know, you look at the vegetables and gauge and see how much longer you need to put in the air fryer or the oven. Yeah, so just do 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Start with 10 minutes and then check it. And if it's not browned enough, just put it back in for another 3 to 5 minutes and just keep checking until it's to your liking. If you don't have an air fryer, you just have a regular oven, I would make the temperature a little bit higher. I think I do maybe 400 degrees Fahrenheit in a regular oven. And I do the same thing. Just roast it for 10, maybe 15 minutes if it's in a regular oven. And after that, just check it and put it in for another 3 to 5 minutes. And check on it every 3 to 5 minutes until it's crispy and browned. Not overcooked, it should still have some crunch to it. Yes, it's so good. Yeah, it's so good. I don't really have any specific things I want to talk about during these types of videos. I do want to talk about the recipe a little bit, but I might also just veer off of that topic and just talk about life. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the main point of these videos anyways is to relax people and to help them fall asleep. So yeah, so most of you probably don't even care about what I'm saying. I don't know. I know in the ASMR videos that I watch, some of these girls, they're not talking about a darn thing. You know, because that's not what it's about. It's just about the sounds that you make to help soothe people to sleep, or at least soothe people into relaxation. Sometimes I use ASMR to get rid of a headache, but I'll figure out my flow the more I do this. But going back to the topic of the recipe, this meal is so easy to make, and that's really what I've been needing lately. The hot weather I've been experiencing for most of the year has just been so intense, and then to start traveling, because where my family lives, it's very hot and humid. They really don't even get a real winter over there. Winter for them is like 50 degrees, and do not expect snow. Just don't expect snow. So it was just hot all year from the beginning of the year. And then I left for my road trip, I think around June 15th. And it was, everywhere I went, it was hot. You know, I knew that eventually I would get to cooler weather because I was heading to the Pacific Northwest. But to get to the Pacific Northwest, I drove through a lot of very hot states. And it was really starting to get to me, the heat. The heat made me not want to do anything. I didn't want to drive. I didn't want to move my body. It was because moving your body increases the heat in your body. It's already hot outside. It was just too much heat. And I didn't want to eat anything. Like the thought of making anything, the thought of even chopping an apple exhausted me. I just felt exhausted at the thought of chopping an apple. So I was not eating very well. And it just got worse and worse. The hotter it got, the less I wanted to eat and cook. If it wasn't for YouTube, honestly, and the fact that so many of you like the cooking portions of my vlogs and you like my cooking videos, I probably would have been eating less than I was eating, but knowing that you all like to see some cooking, it would motivate me to try to cook a little bit of something for my videos. But that would be it. And even after cooking, like, I would be so exhausted trying to film and move the camera and clean up and everything in this tiny little van. I wouldn't even want to eat much of the food. And I just have not been wanting to cook or do anything. And I'm finally getting back to a place where I have energy to cook. You know, I'm in cooler weather now. I'm not driving as often, so I'm feeling a little bit less stressed. And the other things that I was trying to get done when I went on my little 4-week hiatus, you know, I got that dealt with, most of it at least. So I'm just feeling a little bit better. I'm not as exhausted, and I have more energy to make food, to nourish my body. So, but I'm still not fully back to myself yet. So when I do cook, I just want an easy meal, something that's quick, could potentially be made in just one pot, you know, one pot dish. And this meal kind of ticks that box. I made the entire meal in the air fryer, and I love the fact that I had the reusable air fryer liner, so that when I was done air frying the Romanesco, I could just take the air fryer, I could just take the liner out and throw it away. And my air fryer was clean, just do a quick little wipe down. And the butternut squash soup, the key to easy cleanup for that is to cook it in the Tupperware that it's going to be stored in. So I didn't even have to do any cleanup for that. It was already in the Tupperware. And I loved it. I just had no cleanup to do after this meal. And that's really great for the type of mood I've been having lately. I don't want to do anything that's too time consuming, too strenuous. So this was a really great one pot type of meal. And it's very, very tasty. The coconut milk and the butternut squash go really well together, as well as the balsamic vinegar. If you make this soup, do not skip the balsamic vinegar. The tanginess, it goes so well. It might not sound good, you know, putting balsamic vinegar and coconut milk and harissa in one recipe. They might sound too different from each other, but they go so well together, especially balsamic vinegar and coconut milk. Definitely give it a try. It's a good combination. So I used the balsamic vinegar when I was roasting the butternut squash and the shallots and the garlic. So I used balsamic vinegar in that part of the recipe, and I also used it at the end. So it's kind of like a cooked down, more intense flavor of balsamic vinegar when it was roasted with the vegetables. And then you get a more tangy, fresh balsamic vinegar by adding it at the end. And I put walnuts on top because, you know, the crunch, just to add a little bit of crunch. And walnuts go really well with butternut squash and balsamic vinegar. I put a little dab of yogurt. I was trying to do a little design, but it didn't go well, so I just stirred it in. And then I added another dollop of yogurt at the end after that. You don't have to add the yogurt. I just love yogurt. It just adds another type of tanginess, and it's just cold and creamy, and it's refreshing. It adds a little just refreshing flavor to your meals. And I forgot the Romanesco, you guys. I was supposed to garnish it with Romanesco because it needs a pop of green. You know, just aesthetically for me, I needed some green. I forgot to chop parsley. I bought parsley, fresh parsley that I was going to chop and put on top. I forgot it. And I forgot the Romanesco, which is fine anyways, because honestly, I ate the majority of it. I ate the majority of the Romanesco as soon as I took it out the air fryer. It was just so good. It was just so crispy and golden brown on the edges, and I couldn't help myself. I think I had 4 pieces left to garnish with. Yeah, but I completely forgot about the Romanesco, which is fine. I just ate those 4 pieces the next day as a snack. Oh my gosh, roasted vegetables. Roasted vegetables are such a good snack. If you're someone who's trying to find like slightly healthier snacks, one of those snacks could be roasted vegetables. if I had the storage, if I had the space in my fridge, I would have roasted broccoli or roasted cabbage or something like that, roasted Brussels sprouts in my fridge at all times, just to snack on. And you know, if you want something a little bit extra, you can, I don't know, dip it in hummus or something, some kind of dip that you like. Nothing beats those little brown crispy bits on the edges of a good roasted vegetable. And a roasted vegetable that still has a little crunch to it. It's not super soggy. Oh my gosh. It's very, very good. Also, you can use soups like this that are thick and creamy. You can use them as pasta sauces as well. Toss it with some pasta, add some fresh herbs, maybe whatever vegetables you want to add to it. And now it's a little bit different. It's not absolutely the same dish that you've been eating the last few days. So after a few days of eating this soup, my plan was to toss this with some lentil pasta and add some fresh herbs, maybe some fresh basil, some of that parsley that I forgot to use, and top that with some more crushed walnuts and have it with a side salad. You can do that with any creamy soup. I mean, some creamy soups are a little bit liquidier than the soup that I just made. I wanted this soup to be a little bit thicker. It definitely would have come out better if I put in the Vitamix, but I did not feel like dirtying up my Vitamix. So I used my little hand blender and it got the job done. But still, from my experience, you know, you can still use it as a pasta sauce. Just put it in a pan and let it bubble for a little bit. It will thicken as it bubbles. And then just toss the pasta in and whatever herbs and whatever else you want to put in the pasta. Anyways, I really enjoyed this meal. And if you give it a try, I hope you will enjoy it as well. This is the end of this video. I hope some of you fell asleep already. And I hope the ad at the end doesn't wake you up. I know when I fall asleep to ASMR, I don't hear any ads at all. Like, I am knocked out. As some of you know, I said in my other vlog that the whole reason I'm doing these videos, and I'm going to try to do 2 videos a week, is just to make a little bit of extra cash each week. But still, even though I want to make a little bit more money, I don't want to have a ton of ads in these videos. So I'm only going to put them in the beginning and the end of the video. I'm not going to put any ads in the middle of the video because that just ruins an ASMR experience, you know. I can't stand when I'm listening to an ASMR video and an ad comes on in the middle of the video. I always think, like, girl, I know you need to make that money, but this is an ASMR video. I was just dozing off into dreamland, and now I'm listening to this woman tell me that I don't need to do cardio in order to lose weight. It's not cool. It's not cool. So I'm not going to put any ads in the middle of the video, but I am going to put one at the end, and hopefully it doesn't mess up the experience too much. But thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the video, whether it was the cooking portion or the talking portion or both. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for the support from those of you who said that you will watch my second videos. I appreciate you so much. I tell you guys all the time, I appreciate you so much. And I do. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.